Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Sunday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. Thank you so much for tuning in at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there, join the militia. Rate, review, subscribe. We appreciate it in advance. Thank you. So,
yes.
Well, the Orange leave a little bit to be desired in a 38-24 loss at home. Syracuse falls to 1-3 overall and in the ACC. Duke gets their first win of the season. You'll hear from us and we'll hear from you in fan feedback. And we will get into all of that. We'll go over the coach montage. We are going to transition the video platform, if we even do it, to YouTube Live. It's going to be easier for everybody. You don't need an app. All you got to do is follow the, the link. We'll post the link. So, anyways, we'll play around with it, see where it takes us, and go from there with it. So, anyways, just want to get that straight. So, let's take a look at what Coach had to say.
We have 75% of the season left with an opportunity to have a little bit more than that to get this thing turned around. And that's what we're going to go back to work and do. We're going to go back, and it's going to be the next guy up. And we have to do better as coaches. First responsibility is on my shoulders. Hey, that's my freaking team out there. And obviously, I didn't like what I saw. And we have to get better. And we have to get better on a lot of fronts. If we're going to have an opportunity to win again. You know what? I really think, Mario, that there was a lot of things that were going on. First of all, they gave up a lot of yards rushing, but if you ask me whether I'm talking about in the first half, where if you ask me if I would if they could give up those yards and get me those turnovers, I might take that.
Hi, Dino. Appreciate you taking the time. I guess what the status on Tommy DeVito right now? What do you expect moving forward?
Based off of some of the stuff I've heard, it's not good, and we're all pulling for him and we're wishing him the best, but like I said, right now it's not good. In fact, we had a tailback drop a ball that was the exact same ball that Luke Cotton ran in for a touchdown. And I'm not so sure that tailback wouldn't have ran it in for a touchdown too, because he's really got some wheels and he was in the exact same situation. So we had short throws and we had deep throws. We just didn't hit on a lot of the short throws, which was really important in keeping the chains moving and keeping the play count up for the offense and down for the defense. We got to get our depth back up. Right now, we don't have the numbers to do some of the things that we're doing. We'll periodically go fast because it's to our advantage. But when you look around, we had Duke rolled in here with their football team. They had more players than we had in a home game on their traveling squad. And again, that's not an excuse. We have to get our numbers up, and we are working very hard in doing that. And hopefully with the situation where seniors can come back this year for a free year, we can get those numbers back up to where they're supposed to be if we can get enough seniors to come back that want to play one more year of football, or maybe working on getting a master's degree from Syracuse University in 1 year, which I think would be a huge advantage and a selling.
All right. The Coach Montage is brought to us by the title sponsor for the Cuse Militia and Armchair Media, and that is betonline.ag. Now, as we know, we may or may not be able to get to any games this year, but that's all right because BetOnline is still getting you in on all the action. They're going to go the extra mile to make sure you can get in on everything imaginable this season, from game spread and totals to team player and coaching props. BetOnline gives you more options to wager than any other place online. You can get in on their season opening bonuses today to start off wagering on win, division, and championship futures right away. Head over to betonline.ag today and take advantage of all the great sign-up bonuses. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Thank you, Bet Online. All right. One more. We all know that male grooming is maybe, I don't know. It's not the most fun thing to talk about. It's not the most fun thing to do. But what does make it easy is Manscaped.com. They've got the Lawnmower 3.0. It's a premium electric trimmer that's designed to give you a confidence boost through body image. Get rid of all that unwanted hair. The Lawnmower 3.0 is waterproof, comes with an LED light so you can manscape in the rain, at night in the rain or in the shower, whatever you prefer. The choice is yours. So they've also just released their Shears 2.0 nail kit, which is the perfect add-on to the lawnmower. The Shears 2.0 is a luxury 4-piece nail kit featuring tempered stainless steel tools, and it includes tip tweezers, round point scissors, fingernail clippers, and a medium grit nail file. All right. So go over to manscaped.com. Check out all of their stuff, the crop preservers, anti-chafing serum. Let's just call it a serum, okay? No one wants the swamp butt. Get rid of the swamp butt. Use the crop preserver. You get the cologne, get the spray, get the spritzel for the schnitzel. You know what I'm talking about. Look, all you got to do is go over to manscaped.com. You'll get 20% off plus free shipping if you use the promo code armchair at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the promo code armchair. Thank you. BetOnline.ag. Thank you. Manscaped.com. Okay, so Joe.
Sure.
Let's talk, before I get into the good, bad, and the ugly, let's talk real quick about some of the things that Coach was talking about before we got into all that. Now, after the game, it was, you could see, I think it was pretty clear. Coach is down. I know he's saying some things. He's trying to be positive, and I think we're all going to do that. I think there are some positives, and we'll talk about that. But at the end of the day, what I get out of that press conference really is that they are they're transitioning a little bit. We're looking ahead more so now than we were. I think we know what we've got now. As we know, Tommy DeVito by now we know that the reports are that he's out for the rest of the season. So, yeah. I think Coach knew that at the time. His body language showed it. His energy there showed it. But like I said, he's trying to stay positive. That's his job. But at the end of the day, we're looking ahead to next year and maybe some of the good things that can come out of this year. And, that's the feeling I got. That's how I felt watching that.
I think that kind of is how Babers has been kind of the whole season, I feel like. Even in the bye week, in the off season, in the off week when he was talking about Duke and the preview and everything, he really wasn't making it seem like, the bye week was really going to help us any, right? And we do have a situation where, I was reading an article from Syracuse.com and by Nate Mink, and he kind of was just hit on exactly what I was thinking yesterday after the game about just where we thought this roster was going to be versus what it is now. We thought that we were going to have a Dakota Davis, a Sam Heckel, possibly a Chris Bleich, 3 other offensive linemen that aren't there. We thought that we were going to have Jarvion Howard and Abdul Adams. We thought that, at one point we didn't know that if Tristan Jackson was going to come back or not, right? He was supposed to come back for another year, decided to go to the NFL. So you look at all of those type of injuries or ops outs and coronavirus and, just
the whole of it,
leaving the program, injuries, not getting a waiver, like all that stuff. And already our offense is kind of a little bit behind the 8 ball. I think it's pretty obvious. When I was talking to you, when Dungy was here, there's people that, they used to hate or poo-poo on our offense a little bit other than the 10-3 year, but they had Jamal Custis, Amba Editalo, Steve Ishmael, Irv Phillips, some other running backs that were, Mo Neal, Dante Strickland. These were fringe NFL guys that were just right there between not getting, drafted, and some of them made some practice squads and stuff like that. And we just don't have those type of, receivers and running backs and guys like that. And because of all the injuries, you look at the defense yesterday, I think we had 24 different players record a tackle. So, and we know that Cisco's out. We know that Terrell Richards is out. Eric Coley's out. So,
By the way, too, it was he talked about those injuries as well. I didn't put him in the montage, but just so before I forget, we don't expect those Terrell Richards and Andre Sisco. He's not expecting those guys back anytime soon. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anything about it. You know, you look at Canton Arku, who had some great plays yesterday, and then he had an ugly-looking injury, which we don't know how bad that's going to – I mean, we had some guys getting injured yesterday, too. At one point, I looked in the third quarter, I think, in the second half, we had like 6 or 7 freshmen out there playing defense.
Oh, I know.
And Duke was just – I mean, they're just pushing us around, and that's just kind of what happened. We don't have – that's what he said when he's talking in his press conference about how, you know, teams, they have limited. You can't send everybody to a road game. You know, you have a certain amount of players that go with the travel squad when you go and travel. Not everybody's there on the sidelines. You know, when you're at home, all the walk-ons and everybody in the red shirts, they're there. But when you travel, you can only bring so many people. And Duke, they brought their travel squad, and how he alluded to was that they still had more healthy bodies than what we had, healthy and available
in the
bodies.
travel squad than we have at a home.
We have at a home, exactly. Right. So I know that people are frustrated, and I know that everybody wants to. Everyone, you know, because it's now, right? It's everyone wants us to be good now. Bowl game this year. What's going to happen? We got all these games. And I tell you, I mean, it's definitely going to be hard to be excited about it. I try to find a way, to look at how the defense is playing and to look at how all these young players are playing to kind of give me some type of positivity, you know. And obviously, with people hating on Tommy DeVito, and we kind of all know, I mean, you can say what you want about him, but he's our best option, and now he's gone. So What do you do now? Well, do you give Rex his chance? Do you throw? You try to get some of these young guys in there to prep for the future, because that's kind of what it looks like. I guess at some point, the expectations, because of injuries and everything, you kind of just got to eliminate them and say, hey, you know, we might be at a point here shortly where we just got to look toward the future.
Yeah, we'll get into that real quick. Let me do the good, bad, the ugly real quick. Syracuse was +4 on the turnovers, resulting in 7 points on a Canton Arku scoop and score. Taj Harris, he had a great game, 6 receptions, 138 yards, and 1 touchdown. The bad, no run game for Syracuse this week, really, at all. Tucker with 53 yards and 12 carries. Syracuse, at the end of the day, netted 28 yards on the ground. And obviously, as we've talked in the past, we can't do much with that. And a lot of unnecessary sacks Tommy DeVito took. Again, holding the ball the way he does, that's going to happen. The ugly, obviously, topping the ugly of it all is the news about DeVito, and it goes unsaid, but I'm going to throw it in here. Duke with 645 yards total, 363 of them on the ground. Deion Jackson with 169 and Mateo Durant with 163. Too many drop passes by Syracuse. DeVito wasn't getting any help sustaining drives, and a lot of that, especially in the beginning of the game, was on the receivers for catching some of those balls. It was bad. 3 out of 4 takeaways were given back to the offense, who could muster up nothing, no things on the scoreboard, nothing. So
nope.
We talked in the pregame to Duke about how important it was going to be to capitalize on the opportunities Duke was going to present, and we knew that Duke was going to present them. I think they still lead the nation in turnovers. So I thought the coaching, mainly the play calling, sucked. QB sneak on 4th and short with 10 guys in the box, dumb. Running up to the line and running that play as quick as possible. I thought they were going to try to draw them off sides or something.
Yep.
Maybe when you see 10 guys in the box like that, you call a timeout, you reevaluate, you have something drawn up for that situation, but they just rushed it. It was a terrible, terrible idea at the end of the day. So, Missed opportunities, Joe. We can talk about some of the younger guys that might get some burn at quarterback, but...
we can close out the rest of this game and kind of figure, like you said, a lot of it was ugly. There's some stuff to look forward to, but just to throw some other things out there, I mean, I do believe they ran more plays on offense in the first half than we did the whole game. They ended up with something. I think they ended up with like 102 plays on offense to our 52. They almost doubled us up on basically the plays and time of possession. We had 13 possessions, and 9 or 10 of them there were 4 plays or less. One of them was a touchdown because we had that long bomb on the second play or whatever. But, I mean, still, we only had 2 drives out of the 13 that went over 2 minutes. So, again, it's kind of going back and reverting to basically what happened last year and some of the ugliness that we saw last year with losing our offensive coordinators from way back in Dungy and with bringing in a new quarterback. And we had problems with that last year, getting our defense off the field and allowing them to get some breaks. It just didn't happen. And again, like you said, we had drops on offense. We had a couple drops on. I don't want to blame the defense, but there's
could have had 7 turnovers.
I could have had 6 or 7 turnovers. Yeah. Exactly. So, like I said, I think that there are some positives, but when you're playing 100, when your defense is playing 102 plays, and you're seeing all those injuries, and you're already shorthanded, and you're getting literally, like you go down the drives. It's 3 plays, 1 minute, 1 second. 3 plays, 59 seconds. Like these guys are real time getting a couple minutes.
And dude, slow it down. When your offense is struggling. Why are we so stubborn to still do this orange is the new fast thing? It's not working.
Right.
Like,
no, well, yeah. And again,
slow it down, get those guys some more time, get these guys a clearer head. You can rush up to the line. If you look at Clemson, okay, they rush up to the line quick. And then Trevor Lawrence, he orchestrates everything up there. He slows everything down. He looks around. Like, we're just rushing up to the line and running a play. Rushing up to the line is that's the part where you want to rush anyway. Slow it down after that.
And honestly, you saw even Duke, right? You saw Duke. They came out. Obviously, they ran down our throats, but they came down, scored. Chase Bryce started 5 of 5, but then there was a point there where he went 0 of 7, and actually got pulled for a little while, right? And then you saw him come in, and what did they do? They slowed it down, ground and pound, little dink and dunks, 3, 4, 5 yard. They weren't letting him throw it down the field. The one time he did for that slant, it got intercepted. So it's like, if that's what you got to do, then that's what you got to do. And I guess, not even necessarily slow it down as much as just, get the ball in the hands of the players that can make plays other than trying to, use them as decoys to get the ball in other people's hands with, keep Queeley dropping a ball for a wide receiver screen. Nykeem Johnson, what did he get? 1 pass?
Nykeem Johnson's he's got to step up, man.
After Sean Tucker's game last year, what did he get? 12 carries this week?
Last week, yeah.
I thought, when we played Georgia Tech, then we get a bye, and where we are in our situation as far as our depth and everything. I just don't understand why you wouldn't try to establish more of a run game and kind of get. It was nice to see the tight ends get more involved, And honestly, it's tough to say because there were drops and there were some drives that got just knocked down because a Division I receiver couldn't make a Division I catch, and that's.
Well, what's that tell you, Joe?
It's coaching or it's recruiting or it's something. I don't know, but or just the guys aren't ready yet. And that's kind of.
Maybe the guys aren't ready. Now, look, we can talk about, I know there's a school of thought out there that says, this is 2020, the year of the corona, and, I'm not going to fault anyone on Syracuse's squad right now, as far as everything from blaming any one specific side of the ball or coaches, but we're all in the same boat, though, at the end of the day. We were all in the same boat. And by we, I mean all the teams are in the same boat. So the preparedness obviously shines through on teams like Clemson or even some of the SEC schools that's just recently started playing. So... you
get some teams you get the teams where stuff really hasn't changed that much, right? That was one of the things that I was looking at. If you have teams, they got a lot of guys returning or they got a good depth, not any offense or defensive coordinator changes or not changing the system or anything like that, then there's a lot of similarities there with a lot of, captains and upperclassmen. But I think, we were changing a lot. We were in the midst of changing completely our whole scheme of defense, changing an offensive coordinator, and we knew already our defense was going to be young. So, I think that's what's attributing to. We knew our defensive line wasn't going to be that deep with a 3-3-5 coming in, and we knew that we're young in the secondary and in the linebacker squad, and that's where we see the missed tackles and some teams being as efficient against us as far as running, and I don't see that changing. I mean, if you remember, Georgia Tech ran on us too pretty easily. It's just we stopped them from scoring because of all the turnovers that we had.
So we scored too. We scored a lot,
better, right?
Yeah, right. We scored a lot. And when we'll get into it. I'm not even going to mention it actually now that I think about it because it is in. I think it's in fan feedback. So. Jackson and Durant combined for 332 yards. Syracuse combined for 286 total offense. So the Blue Devils, obviously, in time of possession, 39 minutes, 43 seconds to Syracuse's 20 minutes, 17 seconds. Now, we can... I'm at the point where it was so bad and it was such a collapse, especially in the second half. I'm looking at everything. I'm like, the whole thing's a mess. Like, if it was a drawing, I would crumble it up and throw it in the trash can and grab a new piece of paper. That's what I would do. So, now, you have an argument. Joe and I had a post-game conversation, which we tried to avoid because it can never be recreated. But he called me, so I answered. But I'm just saying, you think, though, I mean, well, we might as well talk about this real quick before we get into fan feedback. You think the defense played good enough to win, right?
Yes.
You do. Giving up 645 yards.
The problem is they played 102 plays.
I understand.
So you have to look at the other side of it. If our offense plays the way that they're supposed to, or even average, then they don't play that many plays. They don't give up that many yards. And I go as far as, I know that if they allow a good drive, bend, don't break, and it's long, 9 plays, 8 plays, a couple minutes, but then they get a turnover, then I don't really care about those yards. So you can spit those yard stats out all you want. You can do anything, okay. But all I'm saying is that if the offense has some drives, catches some balls, it's just an average, yesterday it was pathetic. That wasn't even a below average offense. That was just was
terrible.
Pathetic.
You're not going to get any arguments out of me.
If you just get me a below average offense, then those players aren't. You can't be out there for 102 plays with that many injuries and that many young players and inexperience.
Well, you just mentioned the plays. They weren't getting off the field. Now, I understand, obviously, that the short drives by the offense, especially towards the end of the game, is going to wear them out. And it's going to get harder and harder. But they did
get out the field in the first half. And then the offense came right back in less than a minute, 3 plays later, and put them right back on the field. That's my whole point. Duke ran more offensive plays in the first half than we ran in a whole game.
Okay. All right.
So our defense had to play more plays
I understand.
In the first half than Duke's defense did the whole game.
I get it. Which is
so how can you
why
blame
are you getting
that?
I'm not blaming that. Don't you got me pointing at my screen right now.
All right.
I'm not blaming that.
To me, you're looking at me.
I'm blaming everybody. I don't think the defense played a terrible game. Please don't get me wrong. They played a decent game. But it was only in the turnover category, and they did score. So without that score, what are we looking at? 38 to 17?
Yeah. We should add another field goal too.
It's
That's what I mean.
Massacre.
If you look at those, it's almost like the blind resumes when they talk about it in the NCAAs, right? If you looked at that box score, right, minus the touchdowns, right, and you looked at the yardage and the plays and the time of possession and everything, you don't think that's a 38-24 game. You think that's a 56-10 game or something like that. So, again, our defense made it to where all it still would have taken, even into the fourth quarter, was a stop or a big play, and we would have been right in the game. When realistically, we shouldn't even have been in that game at halftime. Shouldn't even have been a chance to even get there if you look at those stats.
I will agree with that. And I'm definitely not saying that the defense didn't play decent. And I understand the long drives that were stopped by. I understand the yardage on drives that ended up in turnovers. I get it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, does it? We can sit here and argue all we want.
Oh yeah.
It was an all around awful game.
Right.
To watch. It was tough to watch. It was definitely the most frustrating. I I would say that was probably, besides the Boston College game last year, that was just the worst game to watch.
It's tough.
The most frustrating game to watch. And it ended with multiple injuries and our starting quarterback out. So here we are. You got David Summers, Dylan Markowitz, and there's one more. Jacoby Morgan.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. All right. So that's where we're at, right? And look, I love Culpepper. I love his tenacity. I love his story. I love his fire. I love, his swag, if you will.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. I don't think, and I might catch hell for this, and this is why I was against the whole calling for DeVito's benching, because Joe and I have been guilty of that before, not with DeVito. But I don't think, and we don't want to relive that, but we are on record, and I will always pull back on that. But at the end of the day, I don't think Culpepper's a good quarterback. I just don't think. It's hard for me to say it because I know it's not going to be a popular thing. I don't think he's a good quarterback.
He's a good guy, and everything that he's gone through, he's easy to root for.
Yes, and then I will.
And realistically, I don't want. I mean, a lot of people, they have positive feelings about this guy, right?
Yeah.
But you know how fans get once you get on the, like we talked about DeVito. People were talking about, the fans were talking about DeVito taking Dungy's job when they went and beat North Carolina, right? And then the very next week when he got smoked by Notre Dame, they were really singing a different tune, right? When DeVito went in there and played not too good. And realistically, I don't want to really see Rex have to go in there and play. And I think people are going to start to not, they're going to start to say some bad things about him.
Well, we're going to be calling for David Summers here in about, 1 or 2 games,
right.
which is a fair thing. Now, I'm not against that. Like you said, right?
Oh, next man up. Someone's got to do it, right?
Well, I'm just saying, what do you do, Joe? This is my point. What do you do? Do you put Culpepper in? Do you devise something for David Summers and I guess Dylan Markowitz? Those would be the two, I think. I don't know. But
well, I think I guess the way that I don't know exactly the last words that Babers kind of put or whatever. And I know this year's been weird, and we've talked about, would you rather football? This was one of those.
This was a buy-seller hold.
Yeah, would you rather football play or Syracuse go 0-0, which we've already won a game. So
right.
But again, you got some people probably like, oh, why'd we play this season again? Because at some point, people get invested and they're like, oh, this is what we played the season for. I just want to see football, but like you said, at some point, Babers can't just throw away his players, right? Like you said, as far as with a bad drawing or something like that, right?
Well, that's not what I'm talking about.
I know, but you can kind of do that to the season and say, okay, we just got to look to the future and start getting some of these young guys a little bit more experience. And I honestly think that at some point that's what we're going to see. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't go ahead, because I know that Rex Culpepper already had packages, and I think he was the only other quarterback minus DeVito that was preparing that you can get any type of minutes this year. So I don't know if anybody else is prepared.
I highly doubt that they were, but I mean, you look on the schedule, we still got Clemson, we still got Boston College who's rolling.
Yeah.
We still got NC State. Their NC State's been rolling. You got Notre Dame. I mean, this schedule does not get any easier at all.
No. There's teams that we're not going to beat. We know this. I think it's just a situation where, again, you got to take the positives. I don't think anybody can really look at this team and everything that it's gone through with all the changes. This is a perfect storm, perfect disaster storm, realistically, when you look at the coronavirus and the specific people that have gotten injured, the specific people that have opted out, the specific people that decided to go to the NFL or not get a waiver from the NCAA. Those are guys that I think that this coaching staff was kind of looking towards, counting on this year. 2 or 3 linemen with an NFL type receiver that they thought was going to come back, and then your top 2 running backs. That's tough, and that's what Tommy's been dealing with. So that's why I get so upset when people want to throw Tommy out there. But are you going to throw a guy out there like a Summers or a freshman like that is not ready against Clemson?
Oh, I don't think they throw him out there if they don't have any kind of – no, don't get me wrong.
Like, I feel like the next 2 games are going to be Rex Culpepper regardless.
I agree. And they got to buy in between there. No, they don't.
No,
they don't.
They don't.
They don't. Okay, so I don't feel. I got to be honest. I don't feel good about anybody standing in the pocket against Clemson. Nobody.
No.
Nobody.
No.
I'm just thinking. Obviously, I don't think Coach is going to put anybody in there that he doesn't think is ready. So it's not even worth having the conversation.
I think the problem. I mean, we're getting to the point where it's a numbers game.
It's thin.
It don't matter if you're ready. We need you to play.
Well, right,
which means everybody's going to start getting ready. Everybody.
Oh, everybody better have already started.
Because it's my thing is I look at it like, okay, because I was going to say was I wouldn't be surprised if Rex Culpepper, if they throw him out there because he's the most prepared against Liberty, just to try to get the W and everything like that. But if he ended up losing or not playing well, then the next game would be somebody else. But then the next game's Clemson. So what are you going to do? Bring in a freshman against Clemson? So
no.
But again, I mean, is Rex Culpepper ready for me? He's a warrior. So hey, go out there and say, hey, this is your this is your chance to go out there and win a game and be, But I mean, he's going to take a beating. Anybody's going to. Whoever's in there is going to take a beating, unless we completely change the way. I mean, that we run our offense. And that's the dinking and the dunking. And that's the stuff that you saw Duke do against us because they couldn't get the ball down the field. That's what we have to do to other teams. And we need to slow down.
It needs to slow down now. And I talked about the dinking and dunking. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I said this is week 2. Playing Pitt. I'm not sure why they weren't doing that. And we're going down the field a ton. When we're hitting he might be hitting 20% of those right now. And the 20% he hits are huge, but the other ones are just bad throws most of the time.
DeVito?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, last night or yesterday, I didn't think there was a lot of bad throws. I thought that he was throwing the ball out there and allowing his playmakers to try to make a play, and they just refused to do it. Other than Taj Harris.
Yes, on some of those, yeah, sure.
Benson, Taj Harris. Other than those two.
Benson was being held, though, but yeah, I mean.
Well, I mean, I'm not talking about his drop. I'm saying he had a nice, touchdown run. I'm saying Taj Harris and Benson seem to be the only ones that are willing to make a play or want to make a play. Everybody else, it's almost like they're afraid to catch the ball.
And I said, I mean, Nykeem Johnson, he's got to step up. I mean, this team needs him, to do something more than what he's doing. So
yeah, but who knows if it's him or if it's the fact that he just isn't getting the ball. Yesterday, he looked on offense like he was a huge decoy. They're using him as a decoy to get other people the ball. And I just feel like we can't be too cute. At this point, we should just be giving the ball to people who we know can do something, right?
Exactly.
You saw what Sean Tucker did last week, and then what did he get, 12 carries?
He got 12 carries.
He caught a couple balls,
10 in the first half. Well, he went out injured when? I don't know, but he had 10 carries in the first half.
Yeah.
And then 2 in the second. So
it was all just very frustrating. And I don't think, due to the injuries and some of the stuff that we learned yesterday and saw yesterday, I don't think it's going to change much. So, and again, I think there's reasons. I don't want to make excuses, but I know that most fans don't want to hear them. Most fans just want to say, oh, it's on the coach. It was up to him to recruit these players and this and that. And, I'd say that this is what happens when you have a bunch of unfortunate injuries. You miss a couple players and you want to make a change in scheme based upon players that you really didn't recruit for. So that's why you see a lot of young players on the defense. And it's just overall tough. But like I said, fans don't want to do it. They're just going to blame the coach because the coach is going to have them ready.
Yep. All right. You heard from us. Time to hear from you.
It's time to hear from you. The loudmouths from the Loud House. The best damn college sports fans in the nation.
All right. Fan feedback is brought to us by betonline.ag. Now, you know the deal. You might not be able to get to a game this year, but betonline.ag, they're going to bring it to you. Go to betonline.ag. They're going the extra mile to give you everything imaginable this season to bet on. From game spread totals to team, player, and coaching props, BetOnline gives you more options to wager than any other place online. You can get in on all their season opening bonuses today. Start off wagering on win, division, and championship futures. Now head over to betonline.ag today and take advantage of all of the great sign-up bonuses. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Thank you, BetOnline. Okay, so by the way, I'll just say that this was not easy to read some of this stuff. So, all right, let's start with our good buddy James on Facebook. The Zubinator. He said, "I'm not saying it was a bad game, but what I will say is yes, basketball season is indeed almost here." James, a basketball guy, though. In all fairness.
Yes.
Look, we do have that to look forward to, guys. And it's not to say, hey, we're giving up on football, bring on basketball, because that's the typical SU move. But, we do have something to look forward to as far as sports, SU sports this year. So just keep that in mind. Dominic on Facebook, it's finally clear that Dino and his staff believe in their system. The problem with that is when their personnel doesn't fit or isn't good enough to succeed in their system, it's just an epic failure. If Dino keeps on refusing to adapt and adjust to who is on their roster, I can't see him lasting here after next season. This is his theory on coaching. If this is his theory on coaching, it will create consistently poor, occasionally great teams in the future, which is a line right from Baber's mouth. Okay. So, and that's kind of what it's been. Look, Joe, we talked on the orange is the new fast. That's a huge part of the system on the offensive end. So I think it's time to trash it. Take a look at what you got, and as well as we hit two of these recently. How to run the offense, slow it down, get small chunks of yardage. The dinking and dunking, the things like that, I think give you a better shot. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that sometimes when players or when coaches come here, and sometimes even ADs, right? I mean, we saw this when we had Daryl Gross be our AD from USC, and then he brought Greg Robinson in, and we were going to turn Syracuse into the USC of the Northeast or the East Coast, and all this other stuff, And I mean, there's certain things when you move places, it's hard sometimes to recruit to places and to recruit certain types of places. When you have Babers who played in Oregon, coached Oregon, Baylor, those guys can recruit those kind of guys. It's hard to go fast when you can't recruit guys really to kind of go to that system. That's why a lot of times you see the Boston colleges and, the Northeast teams of the world that are, recruiting linemen, ground and pounding, having a solid defense, because that's how they win games, because regionally, those are the type of players that normally they can take advantage of as far as in their backyard. And I just think that it took Babers a little while to figure that out. And I think that we are in a transition coming up to one of the first things you said in the beginning of this podcast, is that I think that there is a transition going on between what Babers wanted to do coming here and now what I think he knows he has to do based upon how he can recruit and the teams that he's playing against in conference.
Matt on Facebook says, one roughing the kicker, 7-point swing. We didn't talk about that. I knew we were going to talk about it here. We'll hit that. It had 2 drop touchdown passes. We are disseminated by injuries. 5th string running back who has played well. Slot wide receiver and running back with Penna. 2nd string quarterback. Well, to be fair, that was just at the end of the game, but we're going to see how that goes. Fullback playing guard, All-American hurt. Jones got hurt and came back. Carter got hurt and came back. Canton, like we were just talking about, I don't think he did, right? Terrell out.
Right.
Haven't had either Davis. We got to get healthy. The guys that came in have filled in well, but there's a lot of true freshmen on the field right now. So, to your point...
I think Lakel Jones left, too.
Did he?
I think he left with a knee injury, too. Yeah, because at the end of the game, there was Marlo X and Lee Pogba were the 2 linebackers in there, and Steve Linton.
But
So
just the rough in the kicker deal, that's one of those things that it was a good fake, and he sold it.
great acting job, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just unfortunate, that they got pegged with that, but it's just it happens.
Well, that's when you look at the stats, when you look at the score, and you look at the yards and time of possession and all that other stuff, and you look at the stats, it just doesn't line up. Especially when you take that away, and then and then have us kick a field goal instead of try to go for that fourth down quarterback sneak. And that's a 10-point swing. That's a 4-point. You're talking 28-24. But they just doubled our yards, doubled our plays, or tripled our yards, doubled our plays, and doubled our time of possession. So, and again, that's what turnovers and an opportunistic defense can do for you. But as ugly as it was, that's how close that game was to still being, having a chance to get in there and get it. And obviously, getting those late injuries on defense, and then Tommy, that kind of culminated in just a disastrous afternoon.
Ricky on Facebook, he said, we made one of the worst teams in the ACC look like national championship team. It is so hard to watch, especially when I live in Raleigh now. We have so many listeners and people on social media who are in North Carolina. It's crazy. That must be the number one destination for ex-Syracuseans.
This guy actually works with my brother.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I'm in a fantasy football league with him. I'm actually playing him.
Oh, no kidding.
This week. Yeah.
He's a Syracuse fan?
Yeah, he's from up there.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
Oh, that's crazy.
Unfortunately, a Bills fan, but
we won't go there right now. It is hard to watch, especially when I live in Raleigh now. You screwed me up. We are not getting better in any way. Okay, he goes on. But, Joe, have you seen improvement? We talked at the beginning of the year, look, all I was asking for is a little improvement. And then we went to 2 games. We saw a little improvement coming into Pitt. We saw big improvement, obviously, coming into our first home game against Georgia Tech. And, I think it's fair to say that we fell on our faces here. But, we've still got 3/4 of the season left, pretty much. And we can still eke out some games. We can still upset some people. I think anything other than Liberty right now would be an upset if we put it in the win column. So
I'm not gonna lie to you. We might be an underdog.
True, because they're 3-0. It's a possibility. Plus they're at home. We're home. My bad.
I'm saying Vegas probably won't be just based upon the numbers and everything like that. Yeah. But if we don't have a situation where we get certain people back and it's Rex Culpepper with all the same injuries, we might lose Liberty, man. I
know it's a possibility, and I know,
and it's just well, it's what it is. It's a bad timing type situation, because I think we were starting to actually get used to the personnel that we had. I think that we could have done a little bit better with play calling, and obviously with the personnel catching balls and stuff like that, and actually making the plays that were out there to be had. But if DeVito is out for the year, if Cisco is out for the year, if some of these linebackers have long-term injuries, then it's going to get way worse before it gets better.
I know you're such a shining light. You're such a shining light, Joe.
I'm just saying it is.
I know.
If you have Rex Culpepper, it's going to look ugly next week. If you have Rex Culpepper or somebody else against Clemson or a true freshman, it's going to be ugly, especially if we don't have some of these guys. So
what do you say about maybe you don't say anything, but you got a lot of these guys. They're getting what they asked for, in a sense, and I know they weren't. Nobody
early
wants
playing time. Oh yeah,
No. I'm talking about the fans, and I'm not saying that they're asking for DeVito to be hurt, but the calls for Rex Culpepper have been all year. They haven't stopped. So,
really,
yeah, I've seen. What do you mean, really? Yeah, you don't see. Here's the thing with Joe. Here's the thing with Joe. Joe doesn't go on social media. He doesn't see it all the time. I don't even know if he sifts through fan feedback. But yeah, the whole calls for
social
DeVito.
Social media is garbage.
Social media is the worst place on earth. It is like hell.
But we use it.
But we have to. We have no choice. I've said many times, if we didn't have this show, I wouldn't be on social media.
Probably not. But either way, we had a look. So we started out and we were optimistic. Then some players didn't come back, didn't get a waiver, still injured with the whole coronavirus, no off season. After the first 2 weeks, I think we saw our floor of like, okay, like this was where we started and we're just going to get better from here. And I think he got a little bit better. Then he got to Georgia Tech, got a W, and we're thinking, okay, we could go 3-2, as long as we get this continual improvement. And then going to Clemson, we might be able to get to 6-5 or something like that, win all our home games. And then DeVito went down, and then the rest of our defense got hurt. And yesterday happened. And now it's like we have to wait to see, because there's going to be a whole nother floor that's created. Because any type of improvement that we had just got flushed down the toilet yesterday. Mm-hmm. And so now, come next week, next week against Liberty, we have to start all over, and we got to figure out what the floor is.
But like I said, you take that drawing, crumple it up, throw it away, grab a new piece of paper, and change some things. Make it better.
Oh, they're going to have to change some things. It doesn't mean it's going to be better.
No, it does not mean it's going to be better, but it's got to be better for your current situation. And what they're doing is not good.
Well, and there's going to be an open competition. And again, that's the one thing, like you said, you were saying about Rex Culpepper. I haven't seen that portion of it, because all I've seen people calling for DeVito, or, it's time to look for anher option, a quarterback or something like that. But then there's no suggestions.
Okay, well, I just assume it's Culpepper, I guess. You're right.
But I'm saying go look down the roster. There are no other options.
I know.
What do you want to do?
I know.
We can't just go sign someone from free agency like the NFL.
I know. I'm with you, bro.
What do you want to do? Like, do you want to just we don't have any running backs, but hey, let's just do the damn Wildcat, huh? We'll put Sean Tucker out there. We'll just do the Wildcat the whole game, because we'd probably have a better chance.
That's not a bad idea, Joe.
Taj Harris, Sean Tucker. Put Taj Harris. You might as well put him at quarterback.
Put Cooney at quarterback. Isn't Cooney in the lineup somewhere and be quarterback?
Nolan Cooney?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a punter, right?
Taj Harris is not going to have – he doesn't have a quarterback to throw to him now, so he might as well just play quarterback.
Yeah,
and run around.
Throw it to himself.
I'm just saying that we don't have other options.
I know.
That's what it's going to be.
I know.
We're going to see Rex, and hopefully one of these freshmen can get – looking at the tape, I know that Jacobian Morgan is he's not going to be ready this year. That's somebody that definitely is going to need a year or two, in my opinion. But that Dylan Markowitz kid looked like he could sling the ball. So maybe you start looking at him. I don't know too much about Summers. I know that he was committed to Maryland, but I don't know what type of player he is. But I did like that Dylan Markowitz tape. So maybe he can start getting some snaps and start getting some burn or something. But then if one of those guys comes in, you're talking about creating a whole other floor.
What if we go to Clemson and something happens to Culpepper? Guys, it's not looking good. And I don't know if this is really coach's problem. I guess he has had time to develop another quarterback in a sense.
Well, you don't really, though. You do and you don't.
I know.
At some point, you got to leave it up to the kids. But at some point, when you get closer to game week, you got to game prep. At some point, it's like, hey, well, I got to you got to take the training wheels off at some point and go do it your damn self, right? And they just thought it was going to be DeVito, Rex Culpepper. And now we are where we are. So now you got to start seeing who's ready, because now you're going to have to progress that person.
If you do not look at the first two games, DeVito getting sacked 14 times, and think to yourself, we need to have a backup plan for DeVito, therefore have a backup plan for Culpepper, that's irresponsible. I'm just going to say, there has to be something.
I'm sure at some point, if they've seen how he's played, they were like, okay. But there could be a situation where they don't think that anybody else is ready. Now it's going to push their hand. So, I'm not saying these guys aren't ready, like don't know the playbook or anything like that. But I'm talking about.
It's driving me to drink, Joe. It's driving me to drink.
Mentally and physically ready. It's bad.
Let's keep going here. We're spinning wheels, brother. Tim on Facebook, good buddy Tim. He said, just amazed at this point in Dino's tenure. This offense struggles in everything they do. The offense has issues as the defense has issues as well, size, speed, and depth, but it's hard to put the blame on them when they spend so much time on the field with little rest. Little faith left in Dino and his way of doing things. Okay, look, this is starting to rear its ugly head. We've ignored it when I didn't think it was necessary. I think it's look. I buy into the fact a little bit that this year has been an anomaly as far as the preparation that they had to do and the adversity that they had to overcome with the virus protocol. With that said, Joe, if things don't look up next year and we are still in this type of situation, at what point is that a serious conversation with looking for another head coach? And we've talked a lot about this, and we don't need to relive all of the points we've made, but just how realistic of a thought is that? I mean, I think it's on the table. I'll just let you. I think it's on the table after next year. I think this year is what it is. There's not a whole lot we can do. Players bailed on the season, and they have every right to do so. I'm not mad about it, but I'm just saying that it put Coach in a situation where he's got to improvise, and he's got to bring some less experienced guys up.
Right.
So he's had that on his plate. Next year, though, if we do not see some improvement out of this, when he talks himself about getting a lot of these guys back due to the virus, does DeVito get to medically redshirt, Joe? He qualifies, right? If he's out for the rest of the season, right? So we could see him.
I don't even think medical redshirt. I think just a normal redshirt because he's played 4 games or less.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Because of that new rule, yeah. So
okay.
Realistically, that could give Tommy another year.
Right. So that's good news. So next year
to some people,
I think it's good news.
I think it's good news too.
Okay. Yeah. All right. But to my point, next year things don't get better. We're still spinning the wheels here in the Dino Babers era. What do you think?
I'd give 2 more years after this. And I only say that because, and I know that we've given him 5 years compared to, 3 and 4 for some of these other coaches. It's because this is his 5th year. But like I said, I think last year was a little bit of a wash. I think they really, I think he finally realized just the situation, and I think that's why he changed to the 3-3-5 because it fits the scheme type of players that he can recruit geographically, and I think that's exactly why you see a huge recruiting class as far as commits with defensive line and offensive line, and I think that we're seeing that. I think John Wildhack and him have a pretty good relationship. He had an extension a couple years back, and I think with the coming to grips of we got to change some schemes and some styles, I think that's given him a little bit of leeway to, be able to get a couple more years of recruiting towards those styles and schemes with these coordinators and the guys that they brought in. I just think, unfortunately, you didn't get to see. I think you see a little bit of it with the defense, but I don't think the offensive coordinator, again, making those changes with the circumstances that we had. I don't got to, go over it again. But they just didn't have the time and the familiarity that a lot of other schools and teams have had, have had the luxury of having, and who knows what their injury situation is as well. So,
just to piggyback on that, at Giants_NFL_ on Twitter, we have no hope of turning this around. I thought Babers was the guy to make it happen, but that's obviously not the case. If he can't do it, I'm not sure who can. That's a valid point. We are perennial basement dwellers in the ACC, and we'll see. At McDendis, they should have won the game, took many costly turnovers, and couldn't convert the ones they caused, couldn't stop the run game, and didn't have a great passing game. Not sure if they can win after Liberty next week for the rest of the year. So he said what he's saying is he thinks they can win at Liberty, but not for the rest of the year. Well, we heard your comments. You're speculative of that. and as well you should be. Like I said, the schedule doesn't get any easier. And, I mean, we've talked about this a lot with football since we've been doing this show is I need to, at some point, I have faith, but at some point I do need to see something.
I think I have faith because I think it has something to do with the region. I think it has something to do with Dino Babers coming up here and the fact that he needed to kind of get away from his somewhat coaching tree that he had in Bowling Green. And obviously he's lost. Like Sean Lewis was a great offensive coordinator. He ended up getting his head coaching job. And then we had, the quarterback coach who went to the offensive coordinator last year, who eventually got fired because of last year, right? And we changed. So he brought in guys that can recruit better, and he brought in guys that are a little bit more. Obviously the Tony White with the 3-3-5, but he's very good as far as recruiting. And so is Sterling Gilbert. I know that some people do have their qualms a little bit about his play calling, and I have too. But you can't doubt his recruiting. So I think Dino Babers made some power moves, and overall Syracuse period made some power moves and threw some money on the table this past offseason to actually get some offensive coordinators, some coordinators in there, and some assistant level coaches that can recruit and that can make it the team a little bit better. And again, I mean, you might be seeing that in this recruiting class just right now. 2021 is the highest ranked recruiting class that Babers has had since he's been here. So it might not end like that, but I don't remember us being up in the 40s the way we are now. So
no, and that's something else that is exciting, but we just keep waiting. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for this.
I can understand because I mean we talk about it so optimistically every year, right?
Exactly.
But I mean, it's just 2 years ago that we had a 10-3 season. I was down in Orlando at the Camp of World Boy. It was a great time, and there was people took us legit. So they took us serious. And there's some fans that still remember that. So
yeah. At Tony Staffieri on Twitter, no delusions here. This program is far from top 50 in the FBS, but in year 5 of the current regime, how is depth still an issue at key spots on both sides of the ball? I mean, I guess a lot of that. I mean, it's a valid point, but on the same end of that, we were talking about some of that show. I mean, there are a lot of young linebackers. There's a lot of young DBs. And without leaders on the field like the Ciscos and Richards, depth is an issue. And it's because they just haven't gotten the burn. Well, they're getting the burn now.
Yeah. So. Realistically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. And the thing, too, is, and I don't follow, like, a whole bunch of other schools, and I know that everyone's got their own issues, but I just feel like the last 2 years with, like, people leaving the program and players injured or getting, disqualified, whether it's injury or academically wise. I feel like, that's just so much of that has happened these past 2 years, and it hadn't been like that bad for the previous years before. So I don't know if they're doing anything different or what, but I just feel like it's like any type of close 4-star. I mean, you have some misses as it is, but I mean, you look at Ed Hendricks, right? He was supposed to be one of our better receivers, probably if never got injured. He might be our number 1, number 2 receiver right now, right? And he hadn't even played because of injuries. So between misses and between injuries and I just think a lot has happened the last 2 years. And I'm not trying to make excuses, but I just don't see these type of problems that happen to every program. I just don't see it. These last 2 years, it's just been incredible, the amount of injuries and things that have happened.
Maybe it's a curse. Someone got the hex on us. At D Radzitz, I'm sorry, David. I still struggle. Terrible performance all around. Take away that Taj bomb and defensive touchdown, and it's an embarrassing game. I still think it was an embarrassing game, actually, David. But drop passes played a big part. Defense and able to stop the run. This must be what Jet fans feel like. So,
or Giants. So.
Yeah, right. So, look, stopping the run is going to be an issue. It's kind of almost a staple. I thought maybe it would get better, and I think it could be better. It was better when Cisco was in there. I mean, he's playing the rover spot, and he's able to maybe do some things and contribute a little bit. But we saw it against Georgia Tech, and we saw it against Duke, and he didn't play in either one of those games, right? So
that's experience and youth right there.
Yeah, exactly. So I do agree, though. The Taj bomb was the highlight of the game in the scoop and score. So
there's some great plays, but yeah, again, like he said, the thing is it's embarrassing because
the whole thing was embarrassing. Duke is not good. That's why it's really embarrassing.
That's part of it. And the other embarrassing part of it is that we have Division I athletes that weren't making simple Division I plays, and that's
very embarrassing.
That's to me is very embarrassing. Yes, I mean you're dropping a screen pass when there's nobody around you that you could probably take for 40 yards. I don't know. And if you're not running the ball, but the guy's in there because he can pass block good or, run block good. Like, I just don't understand it. Like, we just have an issue with certain people and it just, or certain personnel. And it just stinks when you see all the Garrison Johnsons and some of these receivers that left. And it's like, I don't know why they left. Did they get ran out? Did they? Because Cam Jordan to me last year looked real good. That guy that we got, the Mattel guy that came from, Canada, looked like big receivers that could make some plays, right? Yeah. And it's like those guys leave the team, and now we see the type of receivers that we're dealing with, and we're like, what is going on? And I don't know, maybe it's personal stuff, maybe it's academic stuff, you never know. But it's just you see these things, and it's like I don't want to say wasted, but that's a scholarship.
No, we wasted. We did. It's not that we wasted it. It's that, but you're right. I understand what you're saying.
We could have used it on somebody that could have helped.
Right.
But now you leave and this happens and it's like, okay, we developed you for 3 or 4 years. Now you're going to go.
Right.
So it's just a situation where that's just tend to have been happening the last couple of years. And it's just unfortunate. So
it is that. Okay. One more and then we're out of here. At Cuse Waterboy on Twitter, pure sadness. Can't stress it enough. If you get takeaways, you have to capitalize and shove it down Duke's throat with TDs, and we did not do that. Not a great outlook on the season. I'm all for giving more freshman reps and building up for the future. I'll never quit on this team, and obviously, when it comes down to it, Joe, we're not going to quit on the team. Well, yeah, that's why I saved it for last.
I'm not going to quit on the team either. It's a situation where I'm still going to watch the game. I'm still going to be cautiously optimistic, but I'm not going to be, optimistic or anything like that. And again, it's close to that. It's close to right there. I don't want to be the one that throw up the white flag and just play the young guys and screw the old guys because we want to get them ready for the future, get them experience for the future. But it's kind of almost where we're at this point.
Well, I think that they need to play a role for the rest of the year. Obviously, that there's a role for them to fill, and it is a great opportunity for those young kids to come up and get ready for next year. And well,
you have to too, right?
Well, you have no choice.
Well, no, you have no choice. But on top of that, you're talking about what if we don't get some of these linemen back, right? Because I don't know about Darius Tisdale. I know we got Vettorello and Bergeron or whatever, but I know Chris Elmore and Cervase are both seniors. So it's a situation where if we don't get these guys back, now you're talking about 2 more line situations that were spots that we have to figure out next year. And we also heard rumblings of Trill Williams and Cisco possibly testing the NFL waters, on top of the fact that our top 3 defensive linemen starters are all going to be gone too, unless this rule or whatever they have coming gives these guys a reason to come back. So it's like, yes, we do need to fill these roles, but again, there's still going to be, if some players leave, there's going to be other roles that we have to fill, and there's still going to be some weaknesses, or in our personnel. So I want to give them the time, but it's going to be tough to just say, oh, we're going to let them play this year, get experience, and then they'll be ready next year, because that's not always the case.
Well, no,
because we're still going to have to fill other,
Yeah,
I wish we had this damn Josh Huff guy though already. Can we just get him from
high school?
From Beaver Falls High School? Have you seen this guy?
Yes, he's amazing. Yeah, he's putting up stupid numbers, but he's got
like
tree trunks for legs.
JV.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. He averaged like 60 yards a carry one game.
Dude, he's 6'2", 235. But on top, dude, yeah.
Who wants to get in front of that? Nobody.
No, they're just gonna dive at his legs. But he had registered 243 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on 4 carries.
I know. It's insane.
And then this past weekend, he had 6 carries, 205 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's just toying with people out there, no doubt. I don't know.
But I mean, it's his. And this is just our luck too, because if he actually is doing that against good competition, his stock is just going to rise and rise and rise. The next thing you know, he's going to be getting looks from other people. Yeah. And all of a sudden, Josh Huff decommits and goes to Penn State or some like that. But
I know that's going to be the crap sandwich right there.
Well, that's really the one thing, right? Is you just got to hope that we're selling the guys that we have coming in next year on the fact of, hey, look at this year. Look at all these freshmen that we got.
Look at how much playing time you can get.
Yeah. And now we changed these, our positions as far as offensive defensive coordinators. We changed the schemes a little bit, and we're specifically handpicking you to come in and take these spots. And I'm sorry, if you're a legit receiver that has the option between going to a place like, a top tier place or a higher level Power 5 that might have to sit a couple years, and then you watch the Syracuse game yesterday, it's like, why wouldn't you want to go to Syracuse? It's like you're going to get the opportunities. You're going to get
you're in
the
a good division.
To make plays.
Yeah.
You're in a good conference.
Yeah.
So it's just, we got guys that are we got recruiting commits for next year that could have made the plays that our guys didn't yesterday.
I believe that that's true, and that's why I don't want to totally throw my head in on the Babers thing, but Babers is gonna have to put it together next year. There's not, in my opinion, there's not going to be any excuses next year, especially if you get a guy like DeVito back and some of these other guys. I know, but you say 2 more years, and I understand. Like I want to give it 2 more years, bro. I really do. And I love Babers. Like, I'm huge on Babers. Like, I thought that maybe Babers could be the Boeheim of college of the football team.
I feel like this is going to be a wash. I feel like the Corona, he's going to get. They're not even going to look at this as like a.
And I think that's fair.
This season,
but right, I'm talking about next year.
Right, but I'm saying it was kind of like a reset. Like I said, with John Wildhack, when he coming in and then him getting the extension and then getting the money to do the renovations and the type of person coach that Coach Babers is, and just a likable, personality with the way that he's had some of these viral things, and I know that doesn't always equate to W's, but that also has to do with your working environment and who you want to work with. And I just feel like John Wildhack is in it. He's in it for the long haul. You know what I mean? Like they got the extension, they got the renovations. They changed the offensive coordinators, and they gave them some offensive coordinators money and threw some money at them so that we can actually get better assistant coaches and better recruiters. So I don't see them doing all those changes. And then coronavirus comes around. You can't even have any fans, and to go and see the renovations and get in and get to cheer for the crowd and everything. So it's like this year's a wash.
We're about to turn this in.
Going all in and doing this, like he's not just gonna just give them this year and then next year and then gone. Like,
no, that's not what I said either. Though I said put him on the hot seat, like put him on the watch list, like sit him down like you do at work with guys or whatever. This is what I need to see, and if I don't, we're gonna have to move on.
Oh yeah, I can understand that. I can understand a situation where. If next year isn't good, then going into the following season being like, hey, this is the bar. You don't reach it, I'm going to be looking elsewhere. Like, I can see that. But I can't. I thought you were talking more about him getting fired.
No, I think
about next year.
No, my point was him on the hot seat, like serious thoughts and conversation and just realistic expectations for him to have to button things up and get better. I mean, I think that's fair. I am not calling for anybody's head. That's not my place. That's not what we do here anyway.
No.
So anyways, in the fans in the dome, look, there's no reason we can't socially distance, okay, 12,000 fans in the dome. You're packing them in Home Depot and Lowe's every freaking weekend like sardines. Give me a break, okay? You go to a restaurant in New York, you put your face mask in to walk into the restaurant, and then as soon as you sit down at your table 10 feet from the door, you can take your mask off like it doesn't matter. Like that air's different. Okay?
It's inconsistent because even down in North Carolina, it's weird because it's like in like Wake County, like public schools don't have in school schooling. It's only virtual, but like you go up to like in Syracuse, they have their public schools. Some of them have in school learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then down here in North Carolina, you can have 7 to 10% of your seats filled in football games, like they did. My buddy went to a North Carolina game yesterday, but then in New York, you can't. So I just don't understand the rhyme or reason if we're all in the same phases and we're all on the same page. I know it's statewide, governor, this and that, but yeah, it's every place has found out a way to social distance, even like you said, restaurants and things and such like that. That it just, to me, even down in North Carolina, 7-10%, even if it's that, get some fans in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's time to look at some of that. So as well as, it's a way to do it responsibly. I think I've been on that bandwagon for a while. You can hate me for it or not. I don't really care. Actually, I do care. Don't hate me. Anyways, look, I want to thank all of you for listening. I want to thank BetOnline. I want to thank Manscaped.com. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Hey. I didn't really talk about
no beers today.
No beers.
Your beard out?
I'm growing my beard out,
Your beard out.
Yeah.
You tied one on last night.
I'm growing my beard out.
You tied one on. You tied one on last night.
No, I was good.